So, Mac or PC? Age-old question. I am Mac, I am PC. So how do you pick out which one you want? If you're at the store and you're like, maybe I should buy a Mac because everybody else has one.
Well, let's start with what you're used to.
Yeah, right?
So do you want to learn a brand new operating system and make things a little bit more difficult? Or do you want to go with what you're used to?
And then I want to play devil's advocate. But everybody has a Mac. Can't I just learn it?
Sure.
Or do you need a Mac?
You could pay almost double for the hardware.
Right.
And then you could learn the new operating system that changes on a regular basis.
Yeah. So basically, first you got to decide if you want a desktop or a laptop, right?
Correct.
Desktop, laptop. And that makes your choice a lot simpler because then you have MacBook Pro versus everybody else. Pretty much, right? Also,
XPS, MSI, and
let's
all
get
that.
this out of the way at the beginning. Chromebook is only good if you're cheap and you only want to do Google Docs and browse the web.
Or a bigger door stopper.
Chromebooks are very frustrating.
That's like, let's just get that out of the way at the beginning. That's not even part of the Mac PC debate. If you're super cheap and you're like, I got $100 and I need a computer, sure, buy a Chromebook.
Well, the basic thing is what you're gonna use it for. Like,
Right.
if you're just browsing the web and just checking your mail, I mean, Chromebook could get you by. That's all it is.
If you're an AOL user and you only
Yeah.
log in through your AOL software, a Chromebook will actually work well for you.
Or just using a Gmail suite, then that's kind of
yeah,
okay.
Google Drive, G Suite. He's
Everything
right.
is built in.
But he's right. It comes down to the question, what are you going to use it for? If you typically use your computer for QuickBooks or for Microsoft Word or for Microsoft Outlook, keyword Microsoft, then you might want to look at a PC, which is made, the operating system is Windows, which is made by Microsoft,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So if you are a photographer or you're into video editing or anything that's not Microsoft Word or Office, then maybe the Mac might be a good choice for you. If you have a lot of money, then maybe the Apple is also a good choice for you.
Yeah. Well, also all depends on the software. Let's say if you like Final Cut Pro, then you want to go with Mac. If you like Photoshop or whatever is what's the
Premiere.
Well,
Premiere?
It
Then you go
depends on
Windows.
what field you're working in. If you're going to be working with other people that are doing video editing, there's a good chance you're going to end up with a MacBook Pro because the general consensus of most people that are doing that high-end paid work are going to be using probably Apple hardware.
Now, one thing you should think about is that if you go and you buy an $1,800 MacBook Pro versus a $400 or $500 Windows laptop, and then they go, the Windows laptop is not as reliable. Well, that's because you bought a $400 laptop versus an $1,800 MacBook Pro. So if you compare an $1,800 PC to an $1,800 Mac, it's going to be a more fair comparison.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, if you pay, let's say $1,800 for a laptop, you're gonna get Windows laptop. You're gonna get a badass hardware. Where with Macs, you usually get ham and cheese.
Baseline.
Baseline for
Yeah.
$1,800. So.
So with the $1,800 Mac, you're going to get a nice, sexy silver aluminum computer, and a PC, you're going to get like a racing
big
stripes
sun-
and
yeah.
blue
Yeah.
lights all
It's
over
essentially
it.
a Ferrari with a 2-liter engine.
Because they
it's
have to
nice,
they have
but
to
it's crap.
coax you into buying that PC, so they put flashing lights on it, and they put bows on it and lines, and they make it look like a steroid computer.
Yeah, it looks like a Honda Civic.
Yeah, it looks like a. Not that I hate PCs.
Yes.
We all know the Apple computers always seem to have had that visual edge.
Yeah.
And they don't run hot, and they don't have
They're-
a lot
they-
of the issues
They-
that...
They edge you. There's also interesting thing which I'm gonna probably get some hate comments if we get any comments at all. Hint hint.
If you get any comments below,
If you
please.
look at the MacBook Pros, since they switched from PowerPC, they've never used an AMD processor. They use AMD video, but they don't use the processor. That's part of the reason as to why they don't overheat and they run nice and cool is because those Intel processors are designed with climate control versus the AMDs seem to run a lot hotter.
Yes.
Right?
And MacBooks are so thin that their
Thermal.
cooling system sucks overall. Like they're really made to just last a couple years.
Really? But
Yeah,
a lot of people get a lot more use out of MacBook Pro than a couple years.
Well, because people are done with the Windows PCs and they just throw them to the garbage, where they belong. But
Well, that's also when you're buying a Mac, you got to take in consideration that you will have to upgrade when Apple discontinues it and drops support for the software. It's basically not going to be useful anymore because they're going to obsolete you. And the PC seems to get obsoleted a lot later. Like pretty much you can run Windows 10 on a 10-year-old laptop. It might not run well, but it will run. On Apple, they just totally
Well,
blacklist the
you
computer.
can find parts for an old Dodge, and you can keep that thing on the road a lot longer, but...
Like an old DeLorean is harder to...
Yeah, you don't see a lot of jalopy Mercedes out there.
No, the DeLorean's aluminum and so is the MacBook Pro. Right?
It's stainless steel, actually.
One of the biggest problems or controversies with Mac versus PC is that the PC or the Mac market seems to be catering towards less professional users. They're getting rid of the USBs. They're getting rid of like the towers where you can put like huge amounts of hard drives, and they're forcing you to do like basically
Their way.
consumer level equipment. You know, like so on the MacBook Pro or the Mac Pro trash can, I want to put a hard drive in it. Well, you have to use a Thunderbolt, which is a plug-in device. But like the pros want it internal because that's a pro product. They don't want to buy the consumer grade class stuff.
Correct. One of the big things when the Final Cut 10 came out, a lot of pros, the video editors, were pissed at it because they remove a lot of features. They make it look nice, but
They're dumbing it down, right? And
yeah.
Final. I mean, if you're an entry level, iMovie is for you. If you're a pro, you're going to use Final Cut. So that's kind of stupid.
Which, by the way, if you're editing video, just jump to Final Cut. iMovie, I'm finding Final Cut easier than iMovie, honestly.
If you use QuickBooks, a lot of accountants also don't like QuickBooks for Mac because they have QuickBooks for Windows and they want to
Great
import your
point.
file. Keep that in mind.
What about the viruses? Like lately, I was hearing about the Macs are getting more and more like malware or viruses.
It's not really the fact that they're getting more; it's just being more publicized. I mean, it's a more secure operating system, and what they're coming out with next is going to be even more secure when it comes down to the viruses that they've been seeing recently.
Yeah, Apple is typically more secure as far as viruses go because it's built on what they call Unix. PC is built on DOS, and there's more exploits available for DOS. That being said, now that Apples are getting more popular, people are spending more time trying to exploit the Mac, which is not good as far as Macs are, they can't get viruses, immune to viruses, but there is still less viruses for Macs.
And I want to touch up on, like we were talking about Mac and PCs, but I think like iPad Pros, especially this year, 2017 Pros are really, I see that as equipment for professionals. Like they can
So like
draw
a piece,
on it.
like a computer replacement.
Actual
It is.
replacement. It's getting there. When I saw that, playing with the new 1080, the new MacBook Pro.
No, the new iPad
new
Pro,
iPad Pro,
the 120
hertz screen. But in the pencil, like you can draw, you can edit videos. I mean, it has an iPhone 7 camera, which is sick. I mean, you have a nice big viewfinder. You can record stuff. If they would add like image stabilization, put Final Cut on that thing. That's like a one device with camera, with editing software. It's one device. It's thin. It lasts 10 hours. It's a really good computer.
That's kind of the MacBook Pro.
And there are no
replacement.
viruses for that. I mean, there's very little viruses for iOS devices.
There's not a lot of
so that's the
viruses
most
for
secure
iPad
part.
and iPhone.
So I think that's kind of maybe the future, because it's a gun and go, and you can edit on the device.
Can you imagine
itself.
if they made like a QuickBooks for iPad instead of the online version? That
Make a
would
big
be
difference.
That would be
a huge
crazy. You could do.
difference. Their own chips, so they might just leave Intel and just do their own stuff.
Yep.
And there was a long discussion, like for years now, that Apple's going to use their own chips in iMacs eventually. And
Yeah.
I think that's where it's going. And I'm pretty sure Intel's like, oops, we have to like do something about it because. And that's why Intel is going to be the PC now, I think, after a while, and Apple is going to have vertical integration, CPU and system and hardware, and I think PC, Windows, and Intel and AMD, that's going to be like a separate group.
Yeah. To wrap up, here's a quick pros and cons list of Mac and PC. So Macs are going to be
Expensive.
they're going to be expensive, but they're also going to be probably
Secure.
more secure.
They're going to look better.
Yeah, going to look better.
The screens on the Macs, you can get a lot nicer screens in the laptops and the iPad screens than you can on most tablets and
Yeah.
other devices.
Major
that's always a good thing.
major con of Apple: harder to repair, more money.
It's very true.
PC, more options. Mac, not as many options.
And
A
cheaper
lot
to
more
get
people,
in.
A lot more people are used to using PCs, so there's a general
Okay, so files
easier
like compatibility.
software peripherals.
Overall compatibility with multiple users, also software choices. At PC, you're going to have more choices. Apple, you're going to have less choices. There's less software available. Legacy support for old software that you've already had. If you have some TurboTax or something old, they don't have that for Apple. It's going to be harder to open it on an Apple, or not able to open it on an Apple, so you might want to stick with PC. Also, whatever other devices you have, if you have an Android or you have an iPhone, if you have an iPhone, it's going to be an easier transition to use it on a Mac than it is a PC. If you have an Android, maybe it's a little bit easier to use it on PC because that's what they develop
Yeah,
for.
with Apple, you kind of buy into huge ecosystems. So you buy
Yes.
a Mac, you buy the phone, you buy the iPad, and then you buy the home kit.
So you're buying into the Apple
Everything's controlled.
ecosystem. So if you have some Apple stuff, sometimes it's easier to stick with Apple.
Yeah, it's kind of unbeatable at this point.
Let's head over to Chris in the game room, and he's got some really interesting news on some video games.
It has been a crazy month for video games, starting with StarCraft's remastered version that's going to come out this summer, 2017. And this is big news for anybody who's into online gaming. See, StarCraft is one of the most highly played competitive games that has ever been created. They have their own competitive leagues, right? That's made millions and millions of dollars, especially in Korea. And now StarCraft has said, after 4 years of trying to do this, we're taking it from the 640 by 480, 2:3 resolution, and we're giving it a widescreen, high definition version out there. And the footage that we've seen so far is amazing. I'm so excited to waste a lot of my life into this game. The other story we want to cover today is ZeniMax is being sued for using Wanderer, written by the 60s folk singer-songwriter named Dion. He's suing them because he said he didn't like the fact that his song was used to push this post-apocalyptic game, and he found the images and all this stuff very disturbing. But here's the problem. Dion had already said to his label, UMG, hey, go ahead and make choices for me, make an agreement with all of my music, etc., etc. So UMG said to ZeniMax, yeah, you can use this song. ZeniMax says, great. Dion finds out, hey, I don't really like how this song is being used, so now I'm going to go back and take a part of my contract that says, oh, you should have come to me first, and I'm going to sue you for $1 million for using this song. So post-apocalyptic Fallout seems to be in a little bit of trouble. They think that the lawsuit is a bit ridiculous, and to be honest with you, so do I. The Wanderer is Dion's art, I get it. But ZeniMax and Bethesda, Fallout 4 was their art, and they asked permission, they went through all the things that they needed to do, they got the music, and now all of a sudden they're being punished for doing the right thing. But tell me what you guys think. Should Fallout 4 be sued for using the Wanderer in all of those commercials that we've seen? Or do you think that Dion is overreacting and should just take the money that he's already been given and leave it alone? Leave comments in the posts below. Thanks.
Welcome to news.
Welcome to the news.
So we were speaking about the PC and Apple. Let's talk about iPhone 8.
Okay, so iPhone 8's coming out when?
Well, they're saying this year.
Yeah, October-ish.
Probably they're gonna announce in September, but they don't know when they're actually gonna release it because of their manufacturing.
Right. I heard there's going to be no more fingerprint sensor. They're going to use facial recognition for Touch ID, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Including Retina.
Yeah, including Retina.
What are they gonna call it? Retina ID or Face ID? I'm wondering what they're gonna call it.
I don't know.
Because it's Touch ID. So it's gonna-
iFace.
iFace?
Yeah.
No, they're not doing the eye stuff anymore.
Well, we'll see.
They call it Apple Watch, Apple,
They'll
phone.
probably call it High Face.
iFace.
So,
Hi, Sierra.
yeah, so I wonder that, but
OLED, they're going to do an OLED screen, super high-res OLED screen. I heard they're going to do two different models.
I think they're gonna do 1080p.
I think they're going to do two models. I think they're going to do an OLED and then a regular one for the cheap people. So online, there's guys on YouTube that have 3D printed mock versions of these iPhone 8s, so you can hold them in your hand.
No, they're actual dummies.
Oh, dumb. They
The
actually
actual metal, they're metal.
Oh wow. Okay, so they
Glass
got
and metal dummies.
they get it like case manufacturers get early releases so they can start making cases,
Mm-hmm.
and it so far it looks pretty cool. It looks a little fatter than the iPhone 8 as far as thickness because of the battery.
Yeah.
But it looks good. It feels good. It looks like it's going to feel
Yeah,
good
the
in the
screen
hand.
covers the whole.
Yeah, there's
whole
no
front.
button. It's going to be very nice. And with this new iPhone 8 coming, we heard in the news that they think within the next 12 months, Apple is going to be worth $1 trillion, which we don't know if that's true, but that's what the rumors
I
are.
don't believe that.
Just a couple days ago, I read an article about the patent that included some chips in there that basically it shows that the Fitbit industry, the health monitoring, the biometric sensors and stuff like that are going to be placed inside the ears, and their patent included making both ear pods symmetrical, so that it doesn't matter what ear you put it in, but they'll know.
And it'll have a sensor that will know which ear you're
It'll
in.
know, yeah, which
That's so
ear
sick.
you're in, and but being able to actually record electrical
Impulses
cardiograph
from your
information
ears?
from your heart.
That's crazy.
You can find out your blood stroke, your
That means
volumes.
doctors gonna buy more iPads to read that stuff.
But
Well,
that's
using
all.
the NFC
That's
or
all
something.
part. Like AirPods are the
It
That's
could be you walk into an emergency room and they throw in a pair of iPods. It's connected to the iPad Pro and diagnose you.
So what happens if you don't have ears?
You still have holes.
I guess you just find a different one. Could you use them in your nostrils?
Now a moment with Curtis.
Let's see if we can find him.
Here he is. He's still got it on. I'm just gonna
Just
cut.
roll by
Hey,
real
hold
slow.
on.
This is what you find in the hood. The normal Barney. Barney.